Hashtag ThatPartTV. We delve into the topics others shy away from, discussing love, life, and street politics. Yeah, hashtag ThatPartTV. Welcome our celebrity host from That Part TV, Pearl J. Visit our website at thatparttv.com. Yeah, that part.
You're tuned in to That Part TV, and we are interviewing the Gutta boss, an inmate in a local California state prison.
Yeah, that part.
And we're talking about youth and how it affects the youth when parents are not in the home and parents are incarcerated.
Yeah, that part.
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Tuned into That Part TV, and we want to welcome the Gutta boss to the show. I'm your host, Pearl J. So we're talking about the youth today and how they can be very, very disrespectful, and your views are that you feel as though because, you know, the father is absent in the home, that contributes to the outcome of what you become or the strength that's needed within the household to strengthen your family.
I just say that that's in addition to the other problems that surface in, the youth life. I'm just using the absence of a parent, as in addition to all of the other things that they may be going through, emotionally depressing and stressful in several different areas. And I just feel like when you have the presence of a father or you do have a presence of a mother, in those situations that you are struggling in your youth, you're able to be nurtured or pampered or strengthened for but that's just in addition to everything else that these kids is going through. These kids are using drugs at a very young age now. A whole different type of drugs. The 90s drugs. People was doing weed. Blunt, some tobacco, some alcohol, maybe some ecstasy or something. Nowadays, you got these kids growing up elementary school doing heroin, fentanyl, crystal meth, putting needles in their arms. And that's just a small percentage of what they're really indulging in. It's a whole different generation with this youth. Them was like the drugs that these kids are doing in elementary school. You're hearing heroin. Your kids is hanging around other kids in elementary school doing heroin, fentanyl, and crystal meth. My era, my days, that was like a OG's drug. Somebody older, in age doing stuff like that. Just like, hey, y'all, but to see the youth at a young age engaging into stuff like that, it just speaks volumes to show you where we at in society. So if you starting off with an addiction in elementary school, and this is like a strong, on a scale from 1 to 10, it don't really get no worse than heroin, and this crystal meth stuff, this fentanyl stuff. It don't really, it's not too much of a higher, the drug on a higher scale than this type of stuff. So, if you're starting off in elementary school doing stuff like this or hanging around other kids that may be doing it, because if you're doing it or you're not, you still in that crowd. It's going around in elementary. So you're, the ones that are, having these addictions and struggles, they fall deeper into holes with deeper struggles. About time they get out of elementary school and hit junior high school, they're addict. You're thinking your kid is going to school, getting his education, getting her education, trying to become somebody. This is a young addict with an addiction, and that's just what I was saying in addition to the absent parent.
You're absolutely right. That's a scenario that a lot of people don't see coming. They actually think, I'm dropping little Johnny off at school every day, and you have a good little day, and I'll see you at 3 o'clock. Johnny gets out the car with his backpack, has a whole change of clothes in the backpack, and as soon as you pull off the block, Johnny got his homeboys pulling up, and he don't want a whole nother direction in traffic, and you thinking he in school every day. day, and you don't find out for a month later when the teacher finally contacts you and says, hey, I just want to know what's going on with your kid. He hasn't been showing up to school for the last 30 days. Is he homesick or what's going on? But a lot of times, you do be thinking that these kids are going to school, they're doing what they're supposed to do, and they're doing exactly what you're teaching them to do. And that's just another validation of what I'm saying when I say kids have a mind of their own. So it does not matter, you know what I mean, what you try to embed into them, because at the end of the day, if Johnny doesn't want to go to school, Johnny's not going to go to school. You know what I'm saying? And if you get that Johnny good boy that does want to go to school, that's going to, come home and be happy to show you, hey, I got all A's this week. I'm doing really good on my tests and exams. I've joined the basketball team, all kind of stuff. I'm playing football and running track and doing all the things that Johnny should be doing. Then you got that not so good Johnny that, hey, I got a sack of weed, my boys want it, we're going to be smoking, out there by the baseball field, behind the goal, and we're going to, you bring the cigarettes, he going to bring the drink, and I'm going to bring the trees, and that's how they end up kicking it, you know what I mean, and that's how they spend their days. And so then you could have those kids that just be out there experimenting, and as they're experimenting, they go, you know what, you guys,
No, what is clear, no, these kids aren't experimenting with, like I said, their drugs, this marijuana and this, cigarettes and alcohol. This isn't this generation's drug of choice. This generation's drug of choice is heroin, crystal meth, and fentanyl and stuff like that. This, we're gonna go smoke a joint and have a drink or something like that. That's like, a cigarette and, a beer, or a cigarette and, some orange juice. That's what this generation looks at, some marijuana and some weed and some drink. They not looking at it. That's not this generation's drug of choice. Their drug of choice, starting off, just like you would have a beer or a cigarette or, puff some weed off in the 90s, they're starting off, we're doing heroin, we're doing crystal meth, we're doing fentanyl, smoking it, injecting it with needles, in their arms, snorting it, swallowing it, sniffing it, whatever, put them in these little bottles and all this bullshit. That's what this generation is doing. So you got these youngsters, skipping right over some weed and some drink, some alcohol. We don't. What was getting pulled out they pockets and out they backpacks at school is some crystal meth and some heroin, or some fentanyl or something. And then, they'll smoke some weed or something to just, like a weed is like a cigarette, after, but the thing that I'm very concerned about is that, this is something that's happening in elementary school. These kids are struggling with these addictions in elementary school, and it's sad.
Well, let me
it's
ask
sad
you.
That you gotta worry about.
Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
All right. So, with your time being served in a state penitentiary, how many times have you seen, youngsters, 18, 19, fresh out of junior high school, that are basically incarcerated at a very young age because they made bad decisions, and just don't know how they got there?
Well, most of them is the prison system is filled up with youngsters like that. These aren't, just bad decisions most of these guys are making. It's most of these people incarcerated. They got a trail they got priors, history in, criminal activity, gang activity, drug activity. So a lot of them come in at a young age because they was doing it before.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
You're tuned in to That Part TV, and we are interviewing the Gutta boss, an inmate in a local California state prison. And we're talking about youth and how it affects the youth when parents are not in the home and parents are incarcerated.
These guys was doing this stuff before they turned 18. They have YA history. They have these boys ranch histories, these juvenile detention histories, girls' schools and stuff. A lot of this stuff takes place at an early age, and it's a continuation of it. A lot of these guys are, dealing with foster systems, or their parents have drug addictions, and their parents had drug addictions, and they all been to prison and YA and on parole. Some of these people's whole family is, convicts, and that's just the way it's normal for them. They kind of like idol or glorify prison life, incarcerated. My dad was in prison. My grandpa, my brothers, they were shot callers. My mama went too. Type of mentality. Like, my whole family's convicts. A lot of them are taught to express themselves with, a liking or a just like this is the life that was meant for them. So I run into a lot of youngsters like that, and it's probably going to continue to run into.
Okay, we're going to go to a break. You are tuned in to That Part TV. We are talking about prison talk for the youth. Oh, okay. So what I was saying is these kids these days, they don't really have a lot of respect for their parents, and they were raised totally different from the way most of us was raised from the 60s and the 70s and the 80s era. The kids these days that were born in the 2000, 2001, stuff like that, those kids are just from a whole different type of place. Their whole personality, their way of thinking, their level of disrespect, the things that come out their mouth. Back in the day where we come from, they would have got clocked quick. They would have caught a shoe or a tree branch, something would have been flying at them with the kind of mouth that they have on them now. And that's just the way that I feel.
Yeah. It's just when you're dealing with these kids nowadays, most of them are materialists, and true enough, if you don't have your fathers inside, these kids' lives are like the male figures, uncles, brothers, and stuff like that. Sometimes they grow up with different type of characteristics. Like, strength comes from a strong family, but to be complete, you need male role models as well as female role models inside the household. So a lot of families is lacking one or the other. They're either lacking the female role or the male role. And then just today, a lot of people nowadays are more materialistic. People will respect you. Nowadays you will catch people like this. You will have a crowd of people show biasness or more favoritism. Somebody that has money in their pocket but no wisdom, show the person disrespect, just biasness to the person that has all the knowledge and wisdom but isn't doing too financially stable. And that's my opinion on what's going on. It's a lot more incarceration, male incarceration nowadays. Kids, for these kids, they need their male role models in their life. That was a big role in the past that kind of formed the foundation of a family structure. You mess up at home, you get your ass whipped. You talk back, you're not polite, and who was enforcing that majority of the time was both parents. But in your mom's, okay, I'm gonna go tell your dad. Your dad gonna bust your ass. Kids was terrified of their dads when they was little. Oh no, don't tell my daddy. No. Fathers inside these households, these putting them inside these penitentiaries or killing them or just relationship issues or whatnot, and they're not able to be in their kids' life the way that they would like to be or should be. You got these kids growing up differently, different opinions, different, mentalities or ideologies on how things should be. Coming from a male's perspective, from a male's angle, I think as an individual, women and men respect a man, men and women, young women, older women, young men, older men, respect the male's mentality and his role. Little girls, they love that they dads protect them and stand up for them, and same with little dudes. Oh, my dad, he's good at this, he's good at that. And when you just have that absence in your life, who knows how your mentality is formed or put together. You're just kind of putting the pieces together as you go along with. It's hard for a woman to show a man how to think. It's hard for a man to show a young woman how to think. So to balance it out, it's good to have, role models around. And that's my opinion on the youth. But
my opinion is, and I stand strong on it, that you could have the best parent in the world, all the money in the world, and you could have the best mother, the best father, best sibling, and at the end of each and every day, the way a child comes out totally on the child. Because I think that you, just with my own personal experience, you learn wrong from right from a very young age. And so by the time you're 11 or 12 and starting to get your wings, you already know wrong from right. Pretty much whatever a parent is going to embed inside of you, rules, regulations, morals, values, trust issues, emotional concerns, no matter where you are with that individual, by the time, 12 years of teaching somebody, no, you can't do this and you can't do that. By the time they 12, if they ain't got it, they ain't gonna get it. And that's just as simple as that. I've been out on my own since I was 11 years old.
You got some late bloomers, though.
Okay, but allow me to, so there, at the end of the day, it's up to the individual what they want to become. Some kids at the age of 5 stop peeing in the bed. Some people never stop peeing in the bed. It all depends on the individual. Some kids stop sucking their thumb at 1. Some adults at the age of 35 are still sucking their thumbs. So it all depends, again, on the individual. You know what I'm saying? You can surround yourself in a household with people with love and food and family gatherings and respect and moral values, and that person that you're trying to groom in all of those areas will reject that because that's not who they are. You might be saying, hey, as your father, I want you to wear these little pretty pink dresses and these little bows in your hair, and I want to shower you with gold and diamond rings because you're daddy's little girl. But by the time that child is 8, that child can be like, I don't want to be daddy's little girl. I want to be daddy's little boy. I decided I want to be gay. My dad keeps on trying to make me wear these dresses and these diamond rings and these bows in my hair, but that's not who I am. And daddy has a great job. He's a doctor. You know, he's never been in prison. He's got great cars. He's got good money and all the great stuff that life can bring you. But my choice is I want to run the street, run after women. You know, I'm a girl. I like girls. You know, this is who I am, and that's who I identify myself as. No matter what you want to do to help a person become something, you know, that you want them to be, at the end of the day, they're going to become who they are. That's just the way that it is. You know, they're going to become who they are. You know, I've had siblings in my life that I've offered, look, you can stay with me. You know, you don't have to pay no rent. You ain't got to pay no bills. All I'm asking you to do is stop panhandling, standing out on the street, selling your soul. You got all my friends and stuff driving up and down the street looking at you, asking me, why is your brother out here panhandling? Why? He got all this family here. So you bring this person in, you clean them up, you get them all, you know, buy them new clothes, give them a haircut, put some money in their pocket, and the next day they right back there out on that block with a sign asking for money and for food. They left the room that you gave them, they right back. They don't want that room because it's all about choices. It's about choices, the decisions that you want to make for your life, no matter what you do. Some people have all the money in the world, all the money, the finest cars, everything you could ever think of, and they still just want to become a dope fiend, or they still just don't have money. It took them and the best jobs in the world ain't took them to no place except misery and discomfort, mentally challenged, because they thought, because I had all this money. They thought because I had everything a person could ask for. They thought that would replace what they wanted in life, but it really wasn't. It wasn't what they needed in life. You know, it's a difference of what you want and what you need. And to nourish yourself, you have to be in the environment where you have a passion for. You have to, you know, like, say, for example, you got cars, you got all this money, but you just one selfish person. You know, you're a very selfish, disrespectful person. You know what I'm saying? You're obnoxious and rude to people. You treat people wrong. You know what I'm saying? So as years go on, having all that money and power didn't take you nowhere but to hell. Not to happiness, but to hell. Because along the way, you remain humble. You didn't remain respectful. You didn't remain grateful. You know what I'm saying? And all this time you thought you were shining. You were shining for a moment, but you lost your shine because the shine wasn't outside of you. It was inside of you. And people aren't looking for what's on the outside. They're looking for what's on the inside. So if you're damaged on the inside, it's eventually going to find its way out to the outside, and it's going to be noticeable every time you walk in a room to everybody. That's the truth. And some people, they have the best mother. Their father's a preacher. They own the church. They have everything that they want. And, you know, by the time they turn 16, they can't wait. They can't wait to turn 16 because they think the grass is greener on the other side. Then they get out there in the streets and find out all the stuff that their father and their mother was trying to teach them and tell them all along was the right thing. But they had to go out there and find that out by themselves. Some of them make it back, and some of them never make it back. I had that choice, too, to either stay out there, become a drug addict, get locked up, all kind of stuff, be a prostitute. All those things could have happened to me. But I made the choice that I wanted to be better. I wanted to be that one that stood out from everybody else, and that's exactly what I did. You know, at the age of 11, I became emancipated at the age of 12. So, you know, I could use the excuse, oh, I didn't have a father, oh, I didn't have a good mother. But no, those things is what empowered me to be even better. And even though I didn't have those things, I still learned my own morals and values and have respect for people and have respect for my elders. Even though my elders didn't have respect for me and wasn't there, that didn't make me ignorant to the fact that you're supposed to have them.
Well, the clock on the wall says it's time for us to go. You're tuned in to That Part TV. I'm your host, Pearl J. We've been talking about youth and parents that are away from their children due to their doing time in the penitentiary, their upbringing and how things need to change, what needs to change. And we were interviewing this evening the Gutta boss, and we just want to say thank you and a big shout out to him. Please subscribe. Please tune in to thatparttv.com